What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Elevate Your Grind. I am your host, Todd Rosales, and it is great to be here today. We seem to be getting into repeat guest territory. I guess when you do 200 episodes of a show, there are only so many interesting people in the industry. No, I kid. Our last guest, or today's guest, I'm just going to get into it because we are actually having a conversation before I hit record, and I said, hold on, let's actually save this for the podcast because that's why we're here. But please welcome Dan Firtel, the CEO of TRP Co. Dan, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. Title's president. Wouldn't want to steal my partner Brandon's thunder as the CEO, but I
Ah,
appreciate that.
well, I don't know why I thought you were
No, it's all good. It's all good.
you just have that presence about you, is what it is.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But
So
no,
a
thank you.
man,
Thank
a
you. Thank
man
you.
always on the move when we do these interviews. It is good to have you back, man. The last time you were on the show, October 6th, 2020, is when you were on the
Mm,
show. We were in mid-pandemic, and you guys were really starting to get operations going in Florida to get open. I think about 20 months later, we now have cookies in Florida. I'm really excited about it. Um, I made a pilgrimage down to the store. And I will tell you, there's literally only one thing wrong with the store. There's nothing wrong with anything you guys did for one thing, and that is that it is 61.8 miles from my house. Other than that, it is a great store. But
appreciate that.
I would love to hear how the opening went for you guys. Obviously, it was completely slammed. One of the biggest openings I've seen in the state of Florida by far. How's the opening going? How is cookies in Florida? Because I know the state's been excited for it for a long time.
Yeah, it's been good. A lot of people came out for the opening. Really good energy. A lot of people flew in from out of town. We took over the Colombian restaurant next door, which is really cool. So we kind of created like a nice little vibe between the different parcels there, and had like it's really hot out, so we had some cool places to hang out. We had some games out there. Um, Not as many campers as we usually do, but I think summertime in Florida, I think the Floridians, it's almost like an agreed upon thing where it's like, hey, let's not camp out for days. So we think we got people camping out the night before. The weather was pretty hot, but no, it was really good. I mean, it exceeded expectations, um, and we're just excited to get it done. Just it was a lot of really long hours and hard work getting to that point, and it was just kind of a big relief to like finally open, you know?
It was really interesting as far as the opening goes because, you know, I feel like you guys reach a different crowd than a typical opening here. Whereas, when we get a new MMTC, as we call them down here in Florida, the opening is a lot of patients that are just excited to try something new. But I think the audience that you guys reach, not I think, I know, are pure cookies fans, people that just they know cookies is coming. They have no clue about the Florida cannabis industry. I feel like your staff at the front door had a lot of time. I mean, I saw the advertisements as you guys were putting out there for opening. Hey, you need a medical card. If you want to buy weed, you need a medical card. Come to the store with a medical card. Here's how you get your medical card, medical card, medical card, medical card. And I got to tell you, I went probably a week after the opening, maybe about 9 days after the opening, because I'm not a big fan of lines. And there were people who walked in multiple times ahead of me that just didn't have their medical card. They saw cookies and they were so pumped to just be able to go into a cookies in their area. It's To me, you guys transcend the program here. It's just people know cookies, they know what it is, and they want to be able to access it. Do you feel that way with you guys, that you're different than a lot of the MMTCs because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think now there's kind of a few of us that sort of cater to the quality demographic down there, and I do think that we were kind of pushing out how easy it is to get your card, just because we knew that there's probably a big demographic of our customer that isn't currently a card holder in Florida. So we wanted to make sure that those guys knew how easy it was, pretty much same day, within a half hour, you can get your card these days as long as you're a resident of Florida. So we kind of made that push a month before. I think a lot of people were getting their cards to see us. And yeah, I mean, from what I'm told, I haven't actually been to a lot of the other shops in Florida. I mean, I've kind of been to the outsides, but haven't really been to like any grand openings or anything like that. But I do think that we probably had more of like the true connoisseur smoker community than some of the other guys. Not that there's anything wrong with really anybody that wants to do it, but we did kind of hit like a different demo, which is exciting.
It is exciting. And one of the exciting things for me is I think it's you guys brought a quality of product to the state that I don't want to say has been missing, but has certainly been inconsistent, right? I will say that I have found good product in this state, but it's hit or miss. There are certain strains that delivered over and over. And you know what? I'll say it out loud because they're no longer associated with it. Like, but with one plant, right? They had a Mac one that was fire, and then it died off, and then it came back and it was really good, and then it died off, and it depends what the harvest was and everything else, and it just wasn't reliable. And it was when it was good, it was great, right? And I think there's a lot of that around the state. When I went down to cookies, stupid limits kept me from really going ham in your store.
I know.
But I think I got the apples and bananas. I got the Blanco. What else did I get? Two other strains I want to say.
Hopefully you
One of
got
them was
some
a Rick
jealousy. Jealousy is really
Jealousy.
good.
Jealousy was another one that Eric had tried. So we were able to get a lot of the strains, and I will say there wasn't one that missed. And
Thank you.
I happened to be leveraging a lot of California product at the time, and I didn't notice a drop off in quality, right? So that makes
Appreciate
me
that,
really
man.
happy because I think not only is there now a place where you can access quality product, but I think the other MMTCs around here are going to step up their game and try to bring the same thing that you guys are bringing. I'm happy to see you leading the charge. Um, what is the plan for expansion? I made the joke about, your store being 61 miles from my house and that being the only thing wrong with it. Trust me, when I'm in the area, I'll definitely stop by, but I am lazy. Are you guys going to be doing delivery? Where are the next geographies that we can look to for cookies in Florida? And we're going to get beyond Florida in a little bit, but I'm
Yeah,
always selfish and I want to know how I benefit from what you guys are doing first.
for sure, man. And Florida's like a major focus for our company. And so the next store that we will probably open will likely be in Orlando. Also, probably not what you want to hear.
I take
But
the family
we,
to Disney quite often, so it's
yeah,
actually it's not terrible.
yeah. So we've got about 10 different locations in the hopper. A few of them are under construction. For us, it was about dialing in our supply chain. We didn't want to run out of product. Even after that opening and a few days after, we never actually had to close or we ran out of SKUs, of course, but we never just ran out of everything. And that was really important for us because we wanted to stay consistent. We didn't want people to show up and be closed or not be able to serve the patients of Florida. So, really dialing that in. We're under construction on a lot more lights as we speak. People swinging hammers. And so, once that's done, then really it was about opening the store, seeing how much sales we would do from this store, and not getting too ahead of ourselves in terms of the locations because we want to be, well, you just don't run out of product is the bottom line. But now that we kind of see where things are at, what we have now is definitely more than ample to supply the Miami store. And then with our expansion that'll be done, in the next little bit here, that should probably get us to about 6 to 10 stores comfortably in the state, depending on the volumes of those stores. So we've got all those locations lined up already. So we're just going to have, one or two in the hopper that are ready to open. And as we feel comfortable that we can supply those stores the product, we're going to open. And we're going to just continue to be adding SKUs. There's so much that we can get done. So we're just kind of scratching the surface. It's really exciting.
It is exciting, and candidly, I would expect a move like Orlando. You have Miami. Orlando seems to be the lucky ones that get all the newer companies. I know Jungle Boys did Orlando. You guys are doing Orlando. Some of the other smaller operators, but it makes sense because it's such a densely populated area. You have families, you have retirees, you have UCF right there. So it is a great location for a heavy concentration of people. And then as tour, if we ever get to recreational here in the state, I mean, tourism, there's really not much better places you can go than Miami and Orlando as far as the amount of people that are coming in, right? So that's really exciting. And I love the fact that you're talking about making sure that you have enough product to supply each store before you open the next one, because I feel like an additional pressure that you have is people will travel for cookies, right? And we saw that with the Orlando opening, and I'm sure you probably get some people making pilgrimages from the West Coast or even from Orlando at this point that don't know that you have stores coming. And there's nothing worse than if they drove multiple hours to get to the store and they can't buy what they came for. That would be a
For
terrible
sure.
feeling. Or even worse, the door is closed. This actually happened to me for Texas barbecue. I remember one night I was driving around an Uber for 2 hours looking for barbecue, but it's 9:30 and everybody's out of food. So
Totally.
it always comes back to food. But my point being is I feel like that's really important to make sure that you guys can support the steady flow of products. And I mean, earlier today, I looked up the Miami menu, and I would say that you would actually, not only are you supplying your store, but you actually have a good selection of products for people to pick from. It's not like, hey, if you come down, you're getting 2 or 3 strains or just that. So I think that's really cool. One thing I wanted to touch on, I thought was awesome. You guys named your smalls schmediums.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, by the way. Who came up with that?
Uh, Man, I actually think it was some guys in the facility.
Somebody had to be wearing a shirt that was too tight that day.
It was more of like, because really, we've seen some of the competitors, not even competitors, just some of the other license holders in the state, and we see what their ace look like, and we see what smalls are in Cali, and it's just like our schmediums are really kind of what a lot of other groups are putting out in Florida as their normal ace, and it's same product. It's just smaller nugs than we're putting in our eighth bags, but we're super super selective on the QC. So I think people will feel really good. If there's anything that we kind of got knocked on was our price point, and so we heard the people. We had a plan for it. Unfortunately, they weren't there and ready when we opened, but it's about a $15 difference per eighth, and it's the same quality product. If you're going to roll the joint, it doesn't matter anyways because you're just grinding it. So honestly, it's a win. I mean, we're kind of seeing that trend in California right now, where smalls are doing really well because look, I mean, gas is through the roof. Maybe not as bad in Florida as it is in California, but dollars are tight right now, and that upper shelf is getting squeezed. So we want to be able to give something that's affordable to the consumers and into the patients. So having the option is really cool. We also dropped a sift rosin pen, which is kind of like
Nice.
our distillate. Like we're never gonna. I don't want to see never, but we're probably never gonna put out distillate. And so this sift rosin, I'm not an extract expert, so I don't want to butcher exactly what it is, but it's not as high end as our live rosin, but it's live rosin. It's just kind of like a little bit lesser quality, but it's still awesome and it's way better than distillate, and it's a lot cheaper. So we introduced those pens to the market, which we're really excited about. So between the mediums and the sift rosin pens, we kind of have a different price point for people, but we're not sacrificing quality.
I was really hoping to not have to drive back down to Miami, but you're giving me the hard sell here. Now there are more products that I want to go purchase. So I'm a little upset with you over that. Um, but you know what? I get great food whenever I go down there too. So
A
it
lot
is
of
all
good
good.
food.
Oh man, I had another point that I wanted to go to on the schmediums, price point, blah blah blah. I don't remember where I was going with that, but huh. All right. We'll switch here. So cookies in Miami going awesome. You guys are opening in so just looking at this state more and obviously being selfish with Florida, two things I want to go, and it's kind of switching from the consumer standpoint to more the business standpoint, right? The one thing I made the joke about, but it is kind of a true thing, is you guys are now dealing with a problem that no other MMTC had to deal with in the past, which they're all dealing with now, is those rolling limitations, right? To where you can only buy 2.5 ounces every like 35 days or so. And I'll be honest, like there was a limitation on cannabis prior to this. You had whatever it was, your script, and it ran out. And to be honest, the medical program in Florida is almost as complicated as the tax code. But you know,
Yeah.
with these limitations, and you look at what your market share is, when you do your projections for same store sales, all these things in the state of Florida, do you have to take these limitations into place, right? So, like when I look at the state of Florida, although we did like 1.4, $1.5 billion in revenue last year, that was off of like 450, 500,000 patients. I think we're up to like 715, call it 750 for the sake of argument. Now you have 750,000 people that can only buy X amount every so many days, right? So when you look at your stores in Florida, is it kind of, because like in California, you're like, okay, well, we got to get people into the store and then we got to get them buying more, because you can do that. You can get someone to buy an ounce to, and I think the limit's an ounce a day, but you can get them to buy an ounce and come back the next day and buy an ounce. You can get people to buy
For
more.
sure.
In Florida, they can only buy so much. And once they start buying that much, you legally cannot sell them more. Does, do the plans for output and really forecasting, does that come into consideration?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, we're not like our store pipeline is our store pipeline, our cultivation pipelines, our cultivation pipeline. We, it's happening regardless. We don't know what the effect is going to be of those regs yet, but we're not like cutting down how many lights we're putting out or how many stores we're opening because of that. If it affects the bottom line or how much sales we do, TBD. But we're still executing on our same business plan that we had before.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm just kidding. That's honestly more of a personal question as I look to expand our
Yeah,
markets as well too.
it's not ideal. I mean, I'm not
Not
gonna lie,
ideal for
it's
us
not.
as consumers either. I'll tell you how
Yes,
much.
it's not ideal for anybody. I mean, especially if, look, I mean, the most severe cases, if you are very, very sick and you need to smoke a lot, I mean, to limit that person or to tell that person, cannabis affects everybody differently. And so people have tolerances. Um, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, honestly. Like if someone wanted to get a script of, pick a pill, they're not gonna like limit it. It's like how much they need or how much the
Yeah.
doctor thinks that they need. So it's it is what it is, honestly. Like
I'll
nothing
complain
we can
about it
do
more
about it.
so you don't have to.
Yeah. I gotta watch like what I say.
It,
I mean, we love Florida. The regulators honestly have been great to work with. Um, and we're just kind of doing our thing. It's not the most ideal situation. I wish there wasn't those limitations, but it is what it is.
agree with you on that. And I remember, it's funny, I actually now remember the other point I wanted to make before I took us all into left field with the regulations and everything else like that. When it comes to your mediums and what comes in an eighth, it's funny because like it wasn't until I started going to Hall of Flowers that I started to see one nug eighths and things like that. And I always thought it was
Yeah,
crazy. But candidly, back when I was buying off the black market and before people were telling me what was cool to buy, dude, I love the bag with little nugs in it because I thought that it was easy for me to measure out how much went into a joint. So it's funny that you say that, if you're just going to roll a joint grounded up anyway, you might as well get the schmediums.
doesn't
And I think,
matter.
at a
Yeah.
$45 price point for your weed, especially in the state of Florida, if it's coming in, if I'm getting the same nug count as I am from one of the other MSOs, then why the hell not? I think that's going to be your problem. You're going to keep selling out of schmediums.
Yeah, I mean, we hope so. I mean, uh, and we're doing stuff around customer loyalty that the prices are coming down even cheaper, and we're refining our customer loyalty. And so, while the $60 eighth, isn't ideal, it's still less than people pay in California with the taxes and everything because
That's
Florida's got the
very
friendly
true.
taxes. So we feel that our quality is on par with what you find in California from various top brands, and it's in Florida. And yeah, we would also like to have lower prices too, and we will, and so we'll continue doing that. But our loyalty program is going to be super robust, and so I think the customers are going to appreciate, or hopefully they will appreciate what we've got coming with loyalty.
I think as long as the quality there, they absolutely will, and I think it's starting to show already. I think it's time that the state got a nice quality product, and you're 100% right. Based on that's what people look at the shelf price in California, and I've never felt like I never knew how to do math more than when I buy weed in California, because I'll be walking around the store forgetting about the
Crazy.
tax, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this and this and this, and I start adding up in my head. I'm like, all right, that should be like, I don't know, 220, and then you go check out, they're like 375. I'm like, wait a second, where I
Yeah,
know
you
I can
gotta
add in my
20,
head. So
25%. Yeah, you got to tack that 25% in most jurisdictions between the sales tax, the cannabis tax, the city. It's just like it's a lot. It's way too much. It's not fair. I like Florida for that.
I agree with that. It's interesting to see the different models that are being done across the state, and that's actually an easy transition, or sorry, different states, and that's an easy transition into TRP Co. So TRP Co didn't exist, I don't think, the last time we spoke. Again, October 6th, 2020. So you guys essentially, via the cookies brand and via what you guys were doing, and then the other brands that you work with, became the largest privately held MSO in the country with a few heard of brands, we'll call them, to try to be funny. But tell us a little bit more about TRP and what you guys are doing there, because I understand it. It is now the parent company for cookie or brand partnerships with Cookies, Dr. Greenthumbs, and Insane.
Yeah. And I think we're probably one of the bigger ones. It's hard to tell with private companies, but we definitely, we're operational now in 9 different states. 8 of them we've got operational retail, and we've done that all over the last couple of years. And so it's been a lot of people working really, really hard. In every state that we expand into, it's like a whole new business, whole new supply chain, different suppliers, different growers, different vendors, different packaging. It's just like it's very, very management intensive.
Even different
But
lingo that
really,
you're allowed to use.
yeah, different lingo. Like Ohio sells tents, not ace. Like it's just weird stuff, right?
Pennsylvania, you're not
So
allowed to use the word cannabis. It has to be medical marijuana.
yeah, yeah, it's wild. But yeah, so TRP, our core company is really always been TRP since about 2019. Cookies Retail is a company underneath that umbrella, and we've kind of been in the background and really trying to just fly below the radar. But recently, with some additional brand partnerships and just kind of it's like a necessary evil to market yourself, unfortunately, in this business, or really in anything in this world. So we had to start branding ourselves and doing that whole thing, and just letting people know who we are, and that we are an MSO, but we're not like a big bad evil MSO. We care about quality, we care about genetics, we care about growers, we care about customers and patients. Our passion is with cannabis. We are a for-profit company. It's not a charity over here, but we come at it from a place of love, and that's really where I think is a little bit different. Not that there's no one else that does that same thing, but we'll align ourselves with brands and breeders that it's not necessarily the the most money making move, but it's the move that we're excited about, and we want to offer a backbone to a lot of the legacy guys that really were the ones that put everyone else in the position that they're in today. And we're doing this thing for the last 20 years, 30 years in some cases. And so it's really trying to prop up legacy brands, offer them the infrastructure that's needed to scale on a national basis, and that's really what TRP is all about. And Florida is kind of like our proving ground to do that, and we're really trying to perfect our business plan in Florida, which is really cool because it's a forced vertical. We control everything from seed to sale, everything from the environment in the facility to the extraction to the cultivation to the teams that are doing that to the distribution to choosing which strains we do to the all the way to the customer journey to the retail build out to the customer loyalty and everything in between. And and it's really a cool experience, and it's verticality in its truest sense of the meaning. And so it's I think you're seeing a lot of brands head down to Florida, which is really cool, not just with us, but with other groups too. And so I think in the last 12 months, Florida patients have gotten a lot. Their lives have improved quite a bit because there are now options. There is some awesome genetics that are being grown at a very top level. I've got a lot of respect for a few of the other groups out there that are doing their thing, both from the brand perspective, from the quality perspective. So I think it's going to make everyone step up their game, and I think it's going to benefit the patients. And there's nothing wrong with competition, especially in a place where, in California, if we want to do a cool drop in California, it's like, who cares almost, like, unless it's just the craziest drop ever. But in Florida, it's cool because maybe there's no one else doing a drop that day, or maybe there's one drop going on in the entire state of 21 people that week. And so there's just really cool opportunities that we don't necessarily have in California to the same extent we have in Florida. And Florida is honestly just as much of a trendsetter state, as much of a cultural epicenter as California is. So we view it as a really unique opportunity, and where we can really solidify our business plan.
That's awesome, man. And to me, it's always been crazy how, not always crazy because it made sense at first, but right now we're in a place where MSO is a dirty word, and I hate that, right? Because at some point we had the original MSOs that I think a lot of people are talking about, that just because they got big and they're publicly traded, and the makeup of the corporation, right? But at the end of the day, every cannabis company that really wants to leave their mark on the industry, even if they started in California, is going to get out of California at some point. And when that happens, we have to consider them an MSO. It stands for multi-state operator, not multi-state corporation or publicly traded or anything else like that. If you operate in more than one state, you're a multi-state operator. You guys happen to be vertical in a lot of those states, which is a little bit more impressive, but it's something that we do at Heisman, right? I mean, technically, we're a multi-state operator. I mean, we're a multi-state brand,
100%.
really, but we're in multiple states. We're in California, we're in Oregon, we'll be in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania this week. And I'd like to see, yeah, I know there's that whole corporate versus legacy battle, but I think we're at a point now where those two sides are starting to realize that they need each other and that we can work together. And there is a platform like Cookies and like TRP where you can give these guys on the legacy side that may, I get this feeling, and I hope people don't hate on me for this, that there are a lot of people that just don't want to deal with all the nuances that come to running an actual full-on legitimate business. The taxes, the payroll, the stupid HR shit, onboarding, finding insurance policies. Like, you are really good at growing cannabis. You've been doing it for 30 years. Do you really want to make sure that your OSHA posters are hung up in your grow? Like, can you imagine you're the best at what you do and you can't sell weed because you don't have OSHA posters or something like that? So, I see
Yeah.
companies like you coming in, and it really, not even like that. I think a lot of these larger companies are giving opportunities to people who otherwise would not have opportunities in the legal market. And I believe they're putting them in positions to succeed.
Yeah, yeah, you said it. You said some interesting stuff there. I mean, I think you are starting I'm not even going to say the smarter legacy guys, but like the guys that are just like a little bit ahead of the curve, that are comfortable with who they are. I've actually been hearing some guys throw around the MSO term, like they are MSOs, which they are. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that the meaning of that word is changing a little bit. Even yourself at Heisman and some other brands that I like have a ton of respect for that are, hey, we're MSOs now. And I think that's cool because it has become kind of this evil word in the space. Um, and can you?
You're good. I can still hear you. Oh, now you're gone. All right, folks. This is when we interviewed Dan. Like I said, he is always on the road, typically on Wi-Fi, so sometimes we lose him here. But to his point, the MSO world right now, goes beyond the people that you see in the MSOS ETF. It goes beyond the people that are traded on the OTC. It goes beyond a lot of these people. And it is anybody who is working multi-state. If you look at even Jungle Boys is a multi-state operator at this place. All right, I think we got Dan back now. All right, he's back. Don't worry. Last time when this happened, I didn't know what to do, but I carried the conversation this time, so we're good.
Sorry, man. It's I hold on 2 secs.
You're good.
Yes, you'll laugh. I moved yesterday, and internet's not hooked up yet, and so I'm doing this from my phone. And someone called me and it cut me out of Zoom.
Oh my God, dude. If I tell you when we first started this podcast, I used to record it on my phone and I didn't know that that was a thing. So I would have a podcast and my phone would be facing the opposite way of me. So I didn't know that somebody would call. There's Cody Sanchez, who used to be a really big investor in this space. I think she's moved on and she does more other things. She still invests here. I did a 60-minute interview with her and I think we lost like 26 minutes because somebody called
Oh
me.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, so my bad. What was the last thing
We
that
were
we left
talking
off
about
on?
how some of
MSOs.
these legacy guys are starting to accept the term MSO and how brands are becoming MSOs, and it's really moving beyond that initial, swath of MSOs that are publicly traded.
Yeah. So I think the word is definitely changing, and we would like to try and push that narrative forward that just because you're an MSO, just because you've got corporate people on the team, doesn't mean that you're not doing this and in this business for the right reason. Yeah, we're trying to make money here because that's just the way the world works, but we love weed, and we want to progress this industry. We want to progress rare genetics, exotic genetics, breeders that deserve to do what they're doing. And we recognize that there's a lot of people in the space that they might be good at one thing, they might be really good at cultivating, they might be good at extracting, they might be a breeder, but that doesn't mean that they have the ability, the bandwidth, the expertise to go and scale into 10, 15 states and other countries. So we want to do a lot of the ugly, dirty work in the background, legal, compliance, real estate, and just making a scalable company, and then we can kind of help other brands and breeders and take them along for the ride, and then everyone wins. The patients win, customers win, the breeders, the growers, everyone should win if everyone just kind of plays their part and stays in their lane. And we found a lane that we believe in. It's been very challenging to grow this fast in this many states, but we're kind of breaking through now, and really, with Florida and launching that and some of the other projects that we have going on, we're really excited, and we're trending in the right direction, and we're kind of just like everyone right now. We're fighting that fight, but we're fighting really hard.
Yeah, and a last thing on that topic is the one thing I love about this is, California for the longest time has been kind of the home or the mecca for weed, at least in this country, right? And there have been so many legacy growers there, so many legacy strains and companies for that matter, that I feel like the opportunity that our TRP or any of these multi-state operators bring is bringing some of these best of breed in California to the rest of the country. Like, we know the good weed comes from California. We know the good weed is grown there. Can you guys come over here and try to grow some here? Can you try to grow some in New York? Can you try to grow some in Ohio? Right? Like, the whole country needs to have this experience, and it's going to take the legendary folks from California to do that. I'm sure that there are plenty in the states at which we have, but maybe not enough because it hasn't been legal, and it hasn't had that kind of legal medical market that California has had since the 90s, right? So, you have both legal and gray market experience in California that I think the rest of the country can benefit from. And I think on that conversation of legacy versus corporate, I think this is an opportunity. As much as I would love to see every OG get a license and be able to run their own business, it's just not realistic. Right. And I don't mean that from
Yeah.
like a political standpoint. I mean, from a feasibility standpoint, it's just not realistic. Not everybody can have their own business. Some people need to work for other people,
I
you know?
yeah, I kind of use the hairstylist analogy. It's like there might be someone that is just so good at cutting hair, or like a barber that just is on point, but that doesn't mean that that guy is the same guy that's going to own and run the salon effectively. So everyone just kind of needs different things and different roles and responsibilities. Um, and if you're in the grow every day and your job is to worry about plants, that is like a 24/7, 365, pretty
Mhm.
much, except for maybe a little bit of sleep. It's really, really hard to do anything else above and beyond that, let alone dealing with cities and construction and compliance. And the guys that do it for like one facility, and they're busting their ass, and they're going to the city, and they're talking to planners, and they're pushing things through, and they know how hard it is. I mean, we have an entire team that does that stuff, and so it's like and let alone to do that on one facility, but to do that in 10 different states, like all like within a few years and whatever, it's basically impossible unless you team up with other people on your team. Either you do it in house, you partner with different partners in different states, and so there's no company that can be everywhere to everybody all the time, because of everywhere that you want to set up. It's like different supply chain, different facilities, different relationships, different rules, different regs. Even the biggest MSOs, they're not doing it effectively in every single state. Like,
No.
they're not in every state. So it's our approach is going to be hybrid. We want to be vertical wherever we can. Unfortunately, there is a limit to capital, and you can't just go and build out 20 different states with 10 to 30 million dollar grows. It's just not feasible.
No.
And so we got to pick and choose. So we chose Florida, and because it's really, if you want to play in Florida, you got to do it. And there'll be some other states that will go big in. And there's a lot of states where there's already like awesome growers, you know, places like Michigan, California, Oregon. Like you don't necessarily, people already built that infrastructure. And so it's about the right alignments with the right cultivators and the right deal structures. And you can almost make these people kind of part of the whole family. It doesn't have to be a hands-off licensing type situation, which a lot of people do and they can do it successfully, but our approach is more hands-on. So if we're going to work with farms in different states, it's a little bit different of an approach than say a brand that is trying to scale their brand to other states, because what we're trying to do is multifaceted with multi-brands and having retail stores in those states. And so it's a slightly different approach. It's almost like a hybrid between an MSO and a brand that's scaling and a brand that's just fully vertical. So we're kind of mixing them all together.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think you guys have done a very good job of being one of the few brands that establish themselves as a leader in both product and retail experience, right? And I think that I'm just shitting on everybody today. I think that a lot of the MSOs unfortunately did not, right? I think a lot of the MSOs unfortunately did a very good job establishing their retail experience and their retail brand. And we look now and you see a lot of these MSOs are either trying to run back and create an arbitrary brand that really has no backstory to it, that's just based on whatever it is. And obviously the industry is seeing right through that, or they're going and trying to acquire brands or partner with brands. And that's what we're seeing as the future. Cookies, obviously, I think, you know, starting with Burner and the strains that he created and having that, you know, brand presence, you were very early on as a popular brand, which might have allowed you guys to become that great retailer as well too. And one of the things I think you've done really, really well is you operate as an actual retailer. So when I went down to Miami, and I'm trying to word this the right way without it sounding weird, I don't want to say I wasn't impressed. I was definitely impressed. But when I walked in, it was a cookies. Like I walked in and it was exactly what I expected it to be. I expect, you know, it was very similar to the one on Melrose. It was very similar to a lot of the stores that I've seen in California. When I walked in, I'm like, so I don't want to say I wasn't impressed. I was definitely
You
impressed.
weren't
It's a beautiful
surprised.
stores, but it was like
Yeah.
deja vu. I'm like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
So
We're trying to create a consistent experience state by state, whether it be product or retail customer journey, build outs. You got to be a little bit careful. We're starting to learn you need to be a little bit careful because you don't want to be so the same everywhere, because there's different markets that have different nuances. And cannabis is a very localized business. And so, you know, while, you know, we're trying to be experts in this space, we are learning too. And as you go to all these different states and you see what works and what doesn't, and we're refining our processes every day and figuring out what we want to do. And so you got to be localized. You got to be community driven. You got to get out there. You got to have relationships with the local communities that you're in. Um, and that's not easy when you're in so many different states. And so we created this big footprint, and now we're kind of going back into that footprint and making tweaks to the business plan, and trying to get as highly localized as we possibly can in each market, because in every market that we're in, there is some company or some brand that they don't give a shit about any other state. All they care about is that state or that region of that state. And they want to protect their turf, and they want to just like clobber the competition, and they know their markets, they know their people. And cannabis people can't big hardcore cannabis consumers, a lot of the times they're localized,
mhm.
and it's not they don't want to they don't want necessarily everything to be the same all the time in every single place. So you got to be careful. It's a fine balance. You can't please everybody, but we're trying to please as many people as we can while staying true to who we are, which is one of the hardest things that in cannabis, really.
100%. You definitely can't please all the people, and there are a lot of people in this industry you just can't ever please. But it is
Yeah,
interesting because, you know, this industry is such a industry of opposites. Like you want to have a national homogenous brand, but like you said, it also needs to be hyper localized too. So it is interesting, and I believe that is the absolute right approach. You guys opened up your footprint, and now you're refining it to be the best it can be. When we build these brands, to me, a lot is not only are you community building within your consumer base, but you're also essentially community building within the industry to find people that are just super pumped on selling your product, right? Because like you said, you operate in all these different states, and with the regulations and everything else, if you guys do a partnership, for example, you guys were able to acquire a license in Florida, so you're cookies through and through. But a lot of brands will come in here and they'll do a licensing deal with somebody who has an existing license, because it's really expensive to start here, and it's a high investment, right? So, you're technically not even working with your employees, or the people who are pushing your product aren't necessarily always working for you. With you guys, I'm sure there are people along the supply chain in certain states where they are excited, and they're selling cookies because they're fans of it, not because that's their whole job, right? So, with me, it's the community that you're building. It goes beyond just your consumers. It's also the people that work with you too. And I know that you guys have set the model for that, and that other brands are chasing you. And, I'll end this rant here with, we are meeting with an investment firm, and, they had mentioned you, and we said, what makes cookies so special that everyone loves them? And obviously revenues, reputation, all that stuff is the easy stuff. But they said, you find their bags on the street in cities in which they're not sold. And we're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, that's incredible. So I started flying around the country and just littering. No.
Yeah. No, it's you know, cookies has been a great partner. It's definitely caught lightning in a bottle. I mean, they've been at it long before TRP got involved with them. And so it's been a long time coming, and there's a lot of work that went into it, and it's just right timing, right genetics, kind of really just lightning in a bottle. And so we're super excited at TRP to have them as a partner, have them as our retail brand in Florida. We are bringing other brands to Florida that we're really, really excited about. We're super hyper focused on the genetic side of it, just because Florida, you can't really do a ton of fun stuff on the branding side yet.
No.
Although they're loosening up on the packaging a little bit, but we've got a lot of fun stuff. I can't talk about it all, but I could give a little bit of snippets. I mean, we did drop Gas House. We got the OG Pluto. That's an independent brand, minority owned, with Felix and Kingston. And that OG Pluto is just like the second it hit. And he's a Miami guy and got a lot of support. And so when the second that thing hit, it was going crazy. And we have so many strains in the hopper that in about 2 months, we'll have a lot of different strains dropping. We are bringing compound genetics to Florida, which
Very cool.
is a little bit of some new news. And so that's super exciting. One of the better breeders in the game, and so we'll be compound Florida as well. So the cool thing with these licenses is you can really just, whatever brand that is, you are them in Florida, and it's really important to work closely with them so you're representing them in the right fashion with the right quality. And it's been a fun process, kind of going through the libraries with these guys and picking and choosing the right strains, and then really just looking even at what we have in the growing rotation and refining that. And really the end goal being every single strain that's on our shelf is going to be a hitter. I think we're kind of there right now, but we're going to be cycling a lot of new stuff in, and then we'll be cycling stuff in, taking it out. And so for us, the menu is going to be ultra important, and really just, real estate's expensive in our facility, lights are expensive, and so everything that we do, we want it to be a hitter. And we've got some crazy, crazy stuff. I mean, our menu, yeah, I'm just really, really excited about it.
Oh no, you do. And I told you I was looking at the menu earlier, and I don't have the
The
website up. I
menu,
was
the
trying.
menu is good now. I think we're doing a pretty good job, but some of the stuff that we are about to drop, it's not even available in dispensaries in California, on the legal market. And so we've got some stuff that's just next level, and it'll be hitting Florida for the first time in the legal market, which is really cool.
That I'm pumped about. So you're gonna have to let me know before the strain's coming
100%.
out. I gotta get a
100%.
babysitter. I gotta get down to Miami. Um, I'm excited about that, man. Like I said, I think you guys coming to Florida is really going to set the standard here. I think it's going to drive a lot of people to do better. And I think, I think just the anticipation of you guys coming has had a lot of people looking at what they're doing and trying to fix it. I'd say the closest people doing what you're doing in Florida right now would be the Flowery, bringing in 710 and Backpack Boys, and they've got a really cool Miami location as well too. It's only two companies.
Gardens.
What's that?
Said Preferred Gardens. Shout out to Preferred
Yeah,
Gardens.
Preferred Gardens as well too. That Baccio gelato is very tasty. So is your apples and bananas as well. I got to get down there and try the pink runs. That's always one that I've always loved. So I want to see how you guys are doing
We
it.
got the pink. The pink runs is an awesome strain. But yeah, I mean the Flowery's doing their thing. Jungle Boys is doing their thing. I mean the Flowery's got 710 Backpack.
Jungle Boys needs to come down to South Florida already. I get it. Ocala, Orlando, we get it. You guys like Central Florida. Get down here.
I think they're coming down there. I believe I saw that there was going to be a Miami store opening, but yeah, I mean there is a few of us down there now, and so I think we'll all kind of rise the whole industry in Florida up, and so I think people are starting to catch on, and so it's exciting.
It is exciting, man. Well, congratulations to you guys for Florida and everything else that you've been doing. I mean, you're in like 14 states, 2 countries. I just saw an announcement. Portugal as well.
Yeah, so that Cookie's our brand partner. That was a partnership licensing deal that they signed. We TRP we did win one of the Dutch experiment licenses. That's our second country that we'll be entering into, the Netherlands this coming year, which we're super excited about. It's a really cool program where they awarded 10 licenses to be able to legally sell to the coffee shops. And yeah, we've got stores in 8 states. We've got a cultivation that we're invested in Michigan. So we've got 9 states right now. Got another 5 states that are coming online in the next 6-12 months. So yeah, that'll take us to 14 states, 2 countries. And we've got a lot of exciting projects. We've got a partnership with Dr. Greenthumb and Insane with Be Real from Cypress Hill that we're rolling out. So we're going to be rolling them out nationally, which is super exciting, bringing them down to Florida. There's really no more real player in the game than Be Real, and absolutely love that brand. Awesome genetics. They crush it in Cali. And so it's super exciting. And with that brand, as we go to the different states, really the Insane is all the exclusive genetics. And then Dr. Greenthumb, we're teaming up with the best of the best legacy cultivators in all the different states that we enter into, and really promote them. So we got QR codes on all the bags. We're building content around the farms and really just propping up that farm and being transparent with our genetics, being transparent with who our partners are, and really kind of just giving back and propping those farms up in every state that we go into to kind of just tie into that localized community approach. So we're going to be headed out to Michigan, and we've just got some straight killers that we're teaming up with there, and we'll be going state to state with that brand, which is super exciting.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I think you guys are really setting a standard in the industry. And I'm really pumped about what you're doing in Florida. So thank
Yeah,
you.
man, me too. Excited for you. You too with Heisman. I know we're selling your guys up in our stores in Oregon, and and we'll be helping you guys out wherever we can, help prop that brand up. Really a big fan of that brand.
Absolutely. And that's absolutely what I love about this industry, man. It is just this co-opetition that we have, right? We're still at a point in time where we can all be fans of each other, all help each other out. Trust me, I smoke
100%.
plenty of cookies and Dr. Greenthumb, more of a lemonade guy personally, but
Yeah.
plenty of that when I'm out in
Smoke
California.
the Blanco is a good one for you.
What's that?
The Blanco.
Blanco was the first one I bought.
Yeah, that's fire.
I need to go back.
We're getting we're getting their new strains too. So that's another partnership that we're doing with the Pure Blanco guys. So we'll have 4 new strains that already hit Cali, but we'll be bringing those to Florida as well. So that'll be super cool.
All right. Well, I'm personally going to start working on this restriction thing, because with all the strains you guys are going to have, this 2.5 ounces over 30 days is just not going to work out.
Let's get wrecked. Let's put our energy into getting wrecked in Florida, and then no one has to worry about any of this crap.
We need to, but we missed the ballot for 2022. So we're looking at 2024 unless it becomes some kind of constitutional, unless the government does it. So we'll see. But that's the benefit of C-Lab. We have an ear to the government all the time. Dan, thank you for your time. This has been awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It's been
man.
A long time. We will definitely do this more often as you guys are expanding in Florida and coming out with new store locations, and maybe we'll do this from a store one day. Before I let you go, promotions, handles, anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, so we just launched our TRP Instagram, so it's trp.hq. Cookies Retail is our other Instagram account for all of our cookie stores. And that's kind of it. We got our Cookies Florida account got taken down with 40,000 followers,
Oh,
all organic, just like, and then there's like thousands of fake Florida accounts for us that are just still just doing their thing, but we're appealing it. Yeah, we're kind of looking at some alternative ways. We're actually starting a Telegram account for our Miami store, so we can kind of post pictures and different things freely. Instagram is they're they're an interesting one.
they are. Who would have thought that LinkedIn would be one of the most friendly places for the cannabis industry?
LinkedIn too. Follow us on LinkedIn, TRP account, Cookies Retail account. We're on LinkedIn. Appreciate everyone's support.
There
And
you go.
yeah, man, look forward to talking to you in the future.
Everybody head down to Miami, check out Cookies, and then do you guys have an opening date for Orlando yet, or is that still up in the air?
We don't. I mean, the store's basically ready to go. We just want to get our cultivation in a spot where we know we can have good products and be able to supply it on a consistent basis. But it's gonna happen soon. It's months, not year.
Let me know because I'm gonna plan a Disney trip around it just for an
Well,
excuse to
let's
go up
do
there.
it. Let's do it, man. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for all
You
your
got the
support.
kids
Appreciate
too.
it.
We'll just meet in Disney after the grand opening. It'll be good.
Let's go.
Magic
Let's go.
Kingdom.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
man.
All right. Thanks, bro.
Thanks for having
All
me,
right.
folks. Thank you to
Appreciate
everybody
it.
at home for watching. This has been another episode of Elevate Your Grind. We'll be back next week. If you are interested in joining Cannabis Lab, you can check it out at joinclab.com. Of course, if you missed this episode and you want to see it again, or if you want to see any of the other hundreds of episodes that we have, check that out at youtube.com/elevate your grind. Folks, this has been another episode of Elevate Your Grind. We're out.